AI is the next big frontier when it comes to digital media creation, and while the technology isn't quite there just yet to make it look photorealistic or without all the flaws that it currently has, it's not going to be long until we actually get to the point where a person can just sit at their computer and generate video that looks indistinguishable from something that you would see coming out of Hollywood. And that's actually gotten a lot of people within the creative industry kind of afraid. We got this article right here from Variety. Tyler Perry halts $800 million studio expansion, citing concerns over OpenAI's Sora. Tyler Perry planned $800 million studio expansion in Atlanta has been put on the back burner due to his growing concern over developments in artificial intelligence. Now, this isn't a debate about whether AI stuff is considered art or not, because I heard both sides of the argument, and frankly, I don't really care. What really does matter, though, is the impact this could have on the entertainment sphere, because obviously if one person can just generate images that it would take dozens of people ordinarily to create, then that can have the potential to displace a lot of jobs. And that's kind of the fear that we're getting from people like Tyler Perry in regards to the future of AI. Perry expressed the need for the industry to get ahead of AI's potential impact, saying, "There's got to be some sort of regulation in order to protect us. If not, I just don't see how we survive." I can understand the fear that some people have and the desire to get the government involved and to try to create more regulations around it. But if their fear is of the potential of AI displacing jobs, then that's probably the wrong approach to this. It goes on in the article to say Tyler Perry specifically cited OpenAI's new AI generated imagery Sora, which here's some samples of it right here, as the reason why he's halting his studio production, because he's thinking like, why are we going to have all these studios if we can just, create all these images with just simple text and things like that? And he does go on to say that he has personally used AI in some of his productions a couple times, but I don't know. The way he describes it, it sounds like he's talking about maybe just CGI, not necessarily AI specifically. Perry clarified that he's not against AI, sharing that he used the tech in 2 of his upcoming films, opting to age himself in post-production instead of a makeup chair. To me, that sounds like he's talking about just classic CGI to make himself look older. I mean, digital de-aging is not necessarily a new concept, and maybe technically it is considered AI because the computer is doing some algorithmic work behind the scenes or whatever. It's not entirely just the artist doing it, but I don't know. I mean, I guess we're kind of getting into the weeds here, but let's kind of circle back to this whole idea about trying to regulate AI through government control, because once you grant it regulations, then you're essentially giving it a legitimacy, because right now it's just kind of a novelty to have AI imagery, but there's really nothing that you can be done with it. Yeah, there's some companies out there who are trying to produce AI imagery and AI video, but so far it's basically just been a vanity project, and they're essentially just doing it in the hopes that one day they will get regulations to the point that people can profit off of it. Because once you give it regulations, well, then people can make money off of it. And then once people can make money off of it, well, then sky's the limit on what it can actually be used for. So, and people were thinking like, well, if you just write the regulations really carefully and stuff like that, it's like, no, because here's how laws work. Just kind of a quick crash course. Politicians don't understand this sort of thing. So what they do is they hire experts who understand how these sort of things work in order to write the laws. And these experts tend to be lobbyists from these big technology companies like, hey, Google, you understand this technology. How would we write a regulations for this? So what they do is create the regulation that benefits them. So ultimately they can make money off of it once it's regulated. Whereas the little guy, people who are trying to start up an AI generated company, well, they can't do anything about it. So Google is the one who benefits as a result of this sort of thing. But that's just kind of going off on a tangent about the problems with the modern day government. Either way, though, regulation is not necessarily the answer. If people don't like AI imagery, the answer is pretty much already here. And that's just the simple fact that it's not profitable to try to use this in any type of meaningful productions, because we've already had a federal judge rule that AI imagery can't actually receive a copyright protection. So why is someone going to waste the time making a movie on something that's generated through AI if they can just not even make $1 off of it? We got this article right here from the Verge, and this was talking specifically about just still images, but it would imagine would be applicable to, I don't know, video and other things like that. United States District Court Judge Beryl A. Howe ruled on Friday that AI-generated artwork can't be copyrighted, as noted by The Hollywood Reporter. She was presiding over a lawsuit against U.S. Copyright Office after it refused to copyright the Stephen Thalner for an AI-generated image made with the creativity machine algorithm he'd created. Some people might try to look at this and be like, well, isn't this government regulations because the judges get involved? No, that's not what it is. Government regulations is creating new laws around what it is, the emerging AI technology. Right now, what it is pretty much just acknowledging that under the laws that we have right now, you can't actually have a copyright protection on AI generated images. But the judge even acknowledges that things might actually change somewhere in the future when things are more hashed out, hence with regulations. Judge Hall did, however, acknowledge that humanity is approaching new frontiers in copyright, where artists will use AI as a tool to create new works. She wrote that this would create challenging questions regarding how much human input is necessary to copyright AI-created art. The biggest crux to this particular case was just the fact that he was using other people's images in order to train his own AI-generated tool. Now, if they were all just his own images that he was training it with, or he legally licensed images for it, then could he get a copyright protection? We don't know yet because such a thing hasn't been adjudicated, but I think that's what's going to happen with this in the near future, because we saw something similar in the past when it came to remixing and remashing music and other things like that, where people initially were saying that stealing music, you can't profit off of that or anything. And then it kind of came to an arrangement like, okay, you can purchase music from someone or purchase the license to their music, and then you can remix it and do everything you want with it. And if you make money off it, you have to give the original artist an appropriate cut of the share. And I think that's what's going to happen, because you're going to get stock sites like Getty Images and other things like that that people upload their stock footage to. And for people who don't know how it works, as the creator, you upload stock footage to that. And if someone purchases that from the site, well, then you get a certain cut of that. And I think there's going to be kind of a section in there where you basically, as you upload it, you consent to having that used to train AI generated tools. And if that's the case, and if any AI generated imagery is using a sample from your work, well, then you get a certain cut of that. And I think that's what's going to happen. And it doesn't require excess government regulations. It's basically just the free market working. A person consents to having their work sampled, and a person consents to license that work from someone else. And then there, everyone is happy as a result of all that. Now, if you don't like AI images and AI video and projects, then you're totally fine not to use that, because I think there's always going to be a market for the original stuff and actual video. And I mean, I don't think it's ever going to go away, the cinema and images and stuff that we have now. And if it's going to displace jobs, it's like, yeah, perhaps. But I mean, that's just the factor with all new technology. There's going to be some people out of work, but it also creates an additional field of work, because then there's going to be more people out there creating the images and creating the video that's going to feed these new algorithms. So right now, it's not so bad with the way things are going, but if you start getting the government involved with it, it's going to get a lot worse. And that's something that I don't think anyone would actually want to have that future. So just calm down on this for the time being, because we don't want to have that happen.